So just engaging with this part of Do's experience and growth. They've been in Australia for a while, and the Do family is kind of central to the Vietnamese community in Sydney. People come in and out of their house, and the mother's very open and keeps things quite well with everybody in that area. An, in the meantime, thriving at school. He's doing quite well. But the one thing he's trying to do constantly is please his father. Now, we know that this is an issue because we understand the problem that we came across in the opening part, in the prologue of the father and where the father is and how all that works and so forth. So for An, he goes through a couple of moments here that kind of remind us of why that becomes such a problem for him. Now, this is what we call a motif. The father's repeated presence and the relationship with the father, those two things are central to this text and understanding how this text actually works. Okay, so this early part is talking about all these people who arrived from Vietnam. Here we have Dad's little sister arriving from Vietnam, and we have this situation down here where there's this person who, lived there when he was a kid. He doesn't remember, and it shows you the rather extraordinary family life that he has grown up with. A lot of Vietnamese came out to Australia, are hopeful and so forth. So that kind of thing is really, really powerful and evocative throughout the entire piece. So, yes, it's quite an extraordinary life for An at that point. Now, here we have an important moment for him in his childhood, is when he does a speech to become captain of the school. And Uncle Six helps him, okay? So I learned gentleness from my Uncle Six. My father can be gentle, but mostly he doesn't. That's interesting. And he was nervous about his school camp. Here's the first example of the father's absence. And we get this line here, Dad was away drinking. And that's already problematic, as we know from the opening. So Uncle Six buys him his Balmain Tigers, which is an early incantation of the West Tigers, sort of gear for the camp. His father is not there to help him out, which is again, he doesn't ponder on it, but it's an example of what he's trying to get at with this relationship being central to the story. As it goes further on, he realises he has to do this speech, and they go straight to Uncle Six. Six, An needs your help to write a speech. And he does a speech, and there's some comedic stuff about language and so forth in there, which is great. And it shows us, a cultural sort of point for these people and everything. But most importantly, it's all about how he sees it through his father's eyes. And he's even remembering that he saw this whole thing through his father's eyes, and how his father would actually get involved and get interested in what he is. Dad picked me up from school, and after that I told him I didn't win. There was no change in his demeanour. He was just as exuberant. Maybe he knew it was a long shot, but he celebrated anyway. So there's still some great positives here from the father, but he's working so hard to do well here. He sort of says, I worked hard because I knew my father would be proud of me, and this is why I went for it. Even though his father treats a loss as if for a win, the lesson stays with him. But it's a big deal in his childhood, and it's a hard thing for us to come to terms with reading, because the chapter ends, as you see here, with my dad's a legend. As I stood up on stage to my photo, I looked down and thought to myself, my dad's a legend. Okay, so this relationship, this absolute relationship he has with his father, is significant in his growth and central to the story and understanding, and it is what we call a motif in terms of relationship.